Good evening, listeners, and welcome along to Across the Line here on Tipp FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday, the 13th of March 2026. Over the course of the next hour, we're going to be looking ahead to the weekend sporting action in Tipperary, taking a focus on Tipperary versus Waterford in the National Hurling League, Tipperary versus Wicklow in the National Football League. We'll catch up with Paddy O'Gorman, the Tipperary under-20 football manager as well, and we'll hear from Seamus Woodlock from Peake Villa FC as the TSDL title race heats up this weekend. And of course, Barry Drake will give us the rundown on what's happening in the world of Greyhound racing to end the show as well. And a reminder, this show is all with thanks to the Premier Credit Union in Thurles, and many thanks for their sponsorship of Across the Line here on Tipp FM. Big weekend of sport to come. We have 2 live games on air on Sunday. We'll also have live updates of the Tipperary versus Clare under-20 football match. That is tomorrow, Saturday at 2 o'clock. But on Sunday, we'll have live commentary, simultaneous live commentary, because both games get underway at 2 o'clock. So we'll have 2 commentary teams, one in Waterford, one in Wicklow, and we'll be bouncing back between the 2 games. But our coverage of Tipperary versus Wicklow in the National Football League is with thanks to John Kennedy Motors, main Toyota dealers in Clonmel, and our coverage of Tipperary versus Waterford in the National Hurling League, also 2 o'clock on Sunday, is with thanks to Casey Tiles and Wooden Floors in Care. Right, let's get started with that game in Azori Walsh Park on Sunday. Tipperary heading down to Waterford to take on the Daisha in a big game in the National Hurling League Division 1A. And to look ahead to that, I'm delighted to say I'm joined on the line by Ken Hogan. Ken, you're very welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul.
Looking forward to this one, Ken, on Sunday at 2 o'clock, Tipperary versus Waterford. Of course, a rescheduled fixture after the untimely passing of father of Michael Kiley, Benny Kiley, last weekend. So this game comes this coming Sunday at 2 o'clock in Azori Walsh Park. And it's an interesting one, Ken, because we don't have the teams as we're talking. But for management, do you go with the same team you named? A lot can change in a week. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of teams line up first here on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, because obviously there would have been training sessions since, and maybe a match or two, and also personnel-wise, guys could be getting fit, or maybe some guys might have picked up illness or injury. So I'm sure by Sunday, both teams will be picking as strong as an outfit as they can, because, there is a bit at stake here, Paul. I think it's, obviously the weather has receded again in the last few days, which will make conditions pretty soft, but it is a great dress rehearsal for Tipperary, the fact of driving down to Waterford, preparing in the dressing rooms, getting their warm-up right. It's a perfect dress rehearsal for championship, but indeed this league game takes on added significance in the fact that whoever wins it will be, virtually safe in the National League Division 1, and that's an important and integral part, I think, of every Tipp campaign.
Yeah, for Tipperary, if they win, we're safe from relegation from Division 1A. Waterford, likewise, they have to win, and even if they do win, I think they would need maybe one other result to go their way. In the final round of games, they have the bye week in the final round, so it's Waterford's last game before the start of the Munster Championship. They have Clare in Ennis on April 19th, so they'll be eager to stay in the division and get a good performance in before the start of the league. So I'd imagine Waterford are going to be coming all guns blazing, because after coming up last year, they won't want to go straight back down.
Yeah, and this is a huge game for Waterford, 5 weeks out from senior Munster Championship. So they're, no matter what challenge games you play, Paul, a game like this, they're going to be looking like, and you saw the team they had picked for last weekend, Tyg de Burke back, obviously Stephen Bennett has picked up an injury, but Desi Hutchinson making his first return to action since the All-Ireland Club victory. I suppose Ian Kenny back as well. They're settling on a strong midfield basis there with Darrell Lyons, Jamie Barron. There seems to be persistent with Jamie Barron as a centre forward, a top class player. But I think the biggest thing for Waterford is the fact that obviously there's always a huge rivalry between Tipp and Waterford. Waterford usually lift their game, and Liam Catt is no stranger to that. He knows exactly what way Waterford will approach this game, which is no harm from, I suppose, a Tipp perspective. But even though people look at it as a league game, judging by what's going to happen, last Sunday they were expecting near to a full house, Paul, and I'm sure all those tickets have been procured. So you're going to have a fairly championship atmosphere there on Sunday, because Waterford knows they have to unload on Sunday because of the fact that they need this victory so much.
Yeah, and there's that's their last game of the league, so they will be going all out, and they'll have plenty of time to recover for the Munster Championship. So expecting a full-fledged Waterford team here come Sunday. But for Tipperary, now it becomes a situation where Tip have 2 games in 6 days. They're going to be playing on Sunday, then the following Saturday night in Thurles against Kilkenny, and that in itself is a bit of a preparation for the Munster Championship, because it's going to be a 7-day turnaround for the first and second round of the Munster Championship. But with the gap that we've had now since Tip's last game against Limerick, back-to-back defeats against Cork and Limerick, they'll want to get back to winning ways. And I suppose for Tipperary, it's time to kind of get into gear with Championship not that far away now.
Yeah, without a doubt, you can imagine the preparation that's going on, and to have the likes of Jason Ford coming back into play, Mikey Breen is returning to fitness. It's important to get all those nuts and bolts together again and get the team moving. And I think the start of the league campaign was good. We were disappointed overall, I'd say, with the performance against Limerick because of the fact of the manner of the defeat, not just about the defeat. This Munster situation of the fact that we're playing down the road as well, obviously adds a little bit extra to it. I think Tipperary will be totally focusing on their own situation, to get the boys performing, to get all the players on the pitch. As you mentioned, it's going to take a bit of man management, because obviously down the tracks, our old rivals Kilkenny coming on Saturday evening. So there's going to be a number of players that might play on Sunday, Paul, mightn't feature against Kilkenny. So it might be their last crack of the whip, to stake a claim for a jersey, tell the management, this is me, I'm standing up here, I want a Munster Championship jersey. So as well as the league points, it's all to play for too in competition for places.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, with the way the weather has kind of gone, it still kind of feels like we're nearly in winter, but the Munster Championship is only 5 weeks away. So, as you said, there's not many more opportunities for players to stake their claim. And for Liam Cahill, there's not many more opportunities for him to maybe get settled back on a team and get that team back familiar with each other, and kind of get that structure back into the team, because the team that was named last week, a lot of the familiar faces as well, but there was a element of experimentation as well with the likes of Stephen Dobin and Kevin McCarthy making their first league starts, which is great. So it'll be interesting to see, and as we said, there's not too many more opportunities for both players to impress, but also for Liam Cahill to kind of nail down his starting 15.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, but you know how meticulous Liam and Mikey Beavens and the management team, David Hurley and co are so meticulous with Declan and TJ Ryan there. They are preparing, the lads are sitting in the stand, they're watching every movement, they're watching every move the player makes, and what can they contribute to the cause. So I think overall Tipperary will be preparing, obviously, for the biggest day, which is the first round of the Senior Championship, but they know that in this preparation comes games and game time, and these players are getting that opportunity now. And at the end of the day, Tip will go down, they will concentrate on their game, they will watch with interest what's going on around them, but above all, it will be nice to get 2 points at the weekend to consolidate her position in Division 1, but also, as you mentioned, and that's critical, is that Tip start to show form. That's so important.
Yeah, and so we'll please, hopefully we'll see a much better performance than we saw last time we saw the Tipperary senior hurling team. So that's 2 o'clock on Sunday. That game will be live here on Tipp FM. Myself and Ken will be on commentary, and our coverage of that game is with thanks to Casey Tiles and Wooden Floors in Care. Also, Ken, you mentioned the ticket situation for this game, and you mentioned the start of the Munster Championship. During the week, it was announced that the tickets for the Munster Championship will be being distributed through the clubs for the first 3 rounds before they go on public sales. So I suppose this is no excuses really now for Tipperary supporters. We can't really have what happened in 2024 against Cork and the Sea of Red it was in Thurles that day happen on April 19th. So it's going through the club, so it gives everyone a good chance to be able to get to that game.
Yeah, I think Tipperary, in the latter stages of the championship last year had fantastic support. There's huge goodwill there. The players have provided so much enjoyment to the Tipperary public in general. So I think we'll be out in force in Waterford, and we'll be out in force definitely for championship, Tipp will have a huge following, and only what the lads deserve for the amount of work they put in.
Yeah, for sure, and they've been great ambassadors since. Finally, Ken, this game on Sunday, your final kind of thoughts heading down as you're making what is a long trip for yourself in Laura down to Waterford. How will you be going down? Are you going down here with optimism and of a better performance than what we've seen recently?
Yeah, I think the lads will have knuckled down in the last few weeks, prepared hard, got ready for this game. I think, we saw the Limerick game. Usually Tipp Limerick games are, full of attrition, plenty of aggression. We didn't see that the last day. It was a puck around really, and Limerick winning convincingly. We'll excuse all that, but there's no way that Waterford and Tipp is going to be a tap around on Sunday. It's going to be no holds barred, full of aggression, full of intensity, and I think Tipp played best when they're playing with bravery and courage and driving on, and I think that's what Liam will demand from his Chargers on Sunday. So really looking forward to a good performance.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, Ken. We'll see you down there. Safe travels, and thanks for joining us on the show.
Appreciate that, Paul.
And now let's switch our attention to our second live game on Sunday. It is Tipperary against Wicklow in the National Football League. And to look ahead to that game, delighted to say I'm joined on the line by our football analyst, Anthony Shelly. Anthony, you're very welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Good to have you on, Anthony. Big one for Tipperary now on Sunday against Wicklow at 2 p.m. in Aughrim in the National Football League. It's a game you can hear live on Tipp FM with thanks to John Kennedy Motors, main Toyota dealers in Clonmel. Of course, we'll have live commentary of both games. We'll be going back and forth between Waterford and Aughrim. But Anthony, this is a massive game. Both Tipperary and Wicklow still with promotion hopes in Division 4 with 2 games to go, both on 6 points. And as it stands now, it's Longford on 7 and Carlow on 8. So it's must win for both teams, and it feels like one of the biggest Tipperary football games in recent years.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. I'm really looking forward to it, and you're right. There's a real cup final feel about this one, and I don't think we've had as important a game as I think it was 2022 when we got to the league final, and after a poor start to that campaign, we went on a kind of a run, and every game seemed like a cup final. I remember we beat Cavan up in Cavan, I think, to get to the final, but unfortunately lost out in the final to Cavan by a point or two. But it has a real feel about it, and I'm really, really excited about it as well, because particularly after the performance the last day in Clonmel against Leitrim, I thought it was excellent, and it wasn't just the football that we played in really difficult conditions down there. What I liked about it was our application and the way we went about our business. On a day like that, where it's raining and a heavy pitch, if you're not fully committed, it can go against you very quickly. And that was the difference I saw between the two teams in Clonmel. A lot of handling errors, obviously, with a slippy ball, and when the ball hit the ground, our lads were totally committed in recovering it or winning the dirty ball, as you say. And that, to me, is what gave us the platform to go ahead and produce the performance that we did. And it wasn't a fluke of a performance either, Paul. There's been hints of it over the course of this league. We'd be really good for 40 minutes or really good for 50 minutes, but I thought against Leitrim the last day we were really good for 70 minutes, and we were not flattered at all by the result.
Yeah, and like looking at it now, third in the table, 2 games to go. We are going to need Longford to drop points in their last 2 games. They play Leitrim actually this weekend, and then they play Wicklow in the final game, and Carlow as well are top of the table on 8 points, so Tipp on 6, so they need Carlow to drop points in their next 2 games to have a chance of overtaking them. So it's pretty much going to be for Tipperary win against Wicklow and try and win against Waterford. That's the goal at hand, and I suppose now Fitzgerald and the lads can't be looking at any other team. They have to do their business first and hope that the other results go their way after that.
Yeah, it's a cup final for Wicklow as well, and Longford have 2 cup finals coming up again now. Even though I do suspect that they will get over Leitrim next weekend, which will put them on 9. But then they have a tricky one at home to Wicklow in the last game. So you'd be saying the same to us. You'd be hoping that we could get over Waterford. Never one that we can take for granted, because there's always we do generally eventually get there in the end, but they do tend to it does tend to go right to the wire. But so if we can get the 2 this weekend, I think, you know what, Paul, I'm nearly afraid to say it, but I think we could end up in second place.
Yeah, it is exciting because in years gone by, at this point of the league with 2 games to go, it's nearly been out of sight. So for the players and management, just to even have something to play for at this point of the league is really encouraging and really good for the development of some of the younger players on the squad. If we look at this Wicklow team, though, they're coming in off the back of a loss to Antrim last time out, which put a dent a little bit in their kind of momentum that they had built up. They had a big win over London in the previous round before that. So I'm sure they're going to be looking for a big response at home against Tipperary, who they beat well last year. So, Wicklow will certainly fancy it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose they probably would have to write off that that's a resurgent Antrim team. We spoke numerous times about the difficulties they were having within the camp early on in the season, but they seem to have put all that behind them, and they're producing the last 2 games to produce the type of results that we would have been expecting from them maybe at the start of the season. So, it'll be interesting to see how they go about it. Like they are so dependent, Paul. It's amazing, and I know we'd be part of the goalkeepers union, or the 2 of us, but it's amazing how dependent they are on their goalkeeper, Mark Jackson, for scores. I think he's the 3rd, not the 4th. No, he's lying 4th in the table in Division 4 in scores. He scored 25 points, wow, which is some shooting from a goalkeeper. He's 11 of them are were 2-pointers, 2 45s and a free. I think is how his 25 points are made up. And Wicklow only, in the rest of the games, they only have 3 other 2-pointers throughout the league. So they're so dependent on him. So, obviously the message from Niall going out on Sunday was we're going to have to be really disciplined. This guy it's just beautiful technique to watch when he's kicking the ball. He flirted with Rory Began over in with the NFL over in in America in 2024. And I think he held a record over there for in the trials. He kicked a 70-yard field goal over there. So I remember watching him last year when we were in with Philly Good Rest, and that we were doing a bit of research and looking at games when he was 12 years of age or 18 years of age. There was a school game and he was knocking them over from 50, 60 yards. So we have to be really, really disciplined on that. And which brings me back, not to give away the freeze, but just wanted to mention, to go back to the Leitrim game as well. We had some great performances there. Stephen was outstanding, Paddy, Mark Stokes, Shawnee, Keane Smith, the usual. But Kieran Costello, I thought that it was absolutely outstanding. He was given a man-marking job on Brian McNulty, the danger man, and the discipline he went with about doing that job. He followed him all over the pitch. He never let him out of his sight. And I'd say when McNulty went in at half time, he was surprised not to see Kieran sitting beside him in the Leitrim dressing room. He was, but it was the discipline that Kieran brought to doing that job, and I think we'll need more of Kieran being disciplined on Sunday if we have to have a win. When they get to the arc or near enough to the arc, we can't just be lazy about it and giving away the soft free, because Mark Jackson will punish you 9 times out of 10 with a 2-pointer.
Yeah, and the team that was named for Tipperary earlier today, same team that played against Leitrim. So Niall Fitzgerald obviously liked what he saw in that game as well.
Oh yeah, he couldn't, but they were really outstanding. And the last day we spoke, when he named the team, I think it was the finishing team the team that he named was the one that finished the day before. But this looks like a team that will more than likely play as selected, and I would see it as a very, very strong team.
And how do you feel like as Sunday morning when you're on the drive up to Ackram? What's your overall feeling here going into this game? And
they're in the dream, Paul, and they're in the dream. I'm looking it up earlier, and the Hogan stand website and the predictions thread, there was 34 predictions on this game. 28 of them went for Wicklow and 6 for Tipp. I'm going to make it 7 for Tipp. Because I just if we it's often hard with a very young team to put 2 performances back to back. But even if we get to 3/4 of what we did against Leitrim, I think we'll go very, very close. And I think the fact that they're so reliant on their goalkeeper for scores, we have Stephen chipping in with scores, Shawnee on fire, Keane Smith on fire. Just think that we may have more up front if we can keep it tight at the back. We've been brilliant on the opposition kick out. We in all our games so far, the way we set up is really. It's really spooking the keeper. They hit it down because we're a very tall team, so they're left with no choice. But they hit a 50-50 one down on top of our big men. But if I had a slight worry, it probably would be on our own kick out. That we're not getting it out as far as I'd like to see again. Now that'd be my only worry. Worry on it would be our own kick out. But I am fairly excited and really looking forward to this game. And I think, and it could sound, when you're making predictions on a Friday, Paul, for a game on Sunday, it can often look foolish on Sunday night. But I'd be 60% in confident that we would do it.
Yeah, it'd be great. We'll be bouncing over to that game. Myself and Ken Hogan will be down in Waterford, bouncing over to Anthony and Paul Jenkins in Aughrim on Sunday at 2 o'clock, so be sure to tune in for that. Just quickly as well, Anthony, we'll be talking to Paddy O'Gorman just after the ad break coming up in a few moments, the under-20 Tipp football manager. They're in action to start the Munster Championship tomorrow on Saturday at 2 o'clock against Clare in Keelty. This is a Tipp under-20 setup that's pretty much a new panel compared to the one last year that were a kick of the ball away from a Munster final. But, it's good to see them back and hopefully getting off to a good start tomorrow.
Yeah, normally we'd be going to that, Paul, but with Aughrim on Sunday, Cruelty on Saturday is just going to be too far, so we'll have to rely on looking at it on Clover. Always a difficult place to go, so if they can even come away with a draw down there, I would be very happy. But Paddy has a good team around him there, in Charlie and Mick O'Sullivan and a few of the lads that they won't leave any stone uncovered in their preparations, and they took their challenge matches have been quite good, right? They took a little bit of a beating from Laois, I believe, recently, but other than that, they've been flying in the challenge matches, and preparations have gone well. So you'd be hopeful that at under 20 level, you're always trying to make the third best team to Kerry and Cork, and then on a good year maybe pipping one of them in a semi-final or something like that. So if we can finish up the under-20 campaign as the third best team, that would be great, and anything after that would be a real bonus.
Well, that one starts tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Big weekend of football to come for Tipperary teams. But Anthony, Shelly, will be hearing from you on Sunday at 2 o'clock in Aughrim. Enjoy that, and thanks for joining us on the show.
Yeah, thanks a million, Paul.
Right, now it's time for our first ad break here on Across the Line, but stick around, plenty more Gaelic games, soccer and more coming up after these. And you're very welcome back to part 2 of Across the Line here on Tipp FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday the 13th of March 2026, all in association with the Premier Credit Union in Thurles. Now we're going to continue our look ahead to the weekend's Gaelic Games action, and tomorrow, Saturday at 2 o'clock in Quilty, Tipperary under-20 footballers get their Munster Championship campaign underway against Clare. And to look ahead to that, delighted to say I'm joined on the line by the Tipperary under-20 football manager, Paddy O'Gorman. Paddy, you're very welcome back to the show.
Thanks a million, Paul.
Yeah, good to have you on, Paddy. And it's finally here, I suppose, for you. It comes around quick for the under-20 footballers with phase 1 of the Munster Championship underway tomorrow against Clare in Quilty at 2 p.m. Just tell us about the preparation so far, and I suppose compared to the other Tipperary teams, you're a few weeks earlier, so have to tailor preparations to be ready for now.
Yeah, I suppose. Look, we've been training there hard since just after Christmas. We tried over 100 players. before Christmas, so we kind of scoured the county, and it's brilliant to have such an interest in playing football for Tipp. So we kind of narrowed it down, and we've been training hard now since January and training 3 times a week, and we've 9 or 10 challenge matches played. So look, we feel like the preparation has gone well. Had a few injuries, and major injuries coming up to it, but thank God a few of them have cleared up, and we're nearly at full health for tomorrow, thank God.
Yeah, and I was looking at the panel. It seems to be a new enough panel in terms of, there's maybe only 4 or 5 lads that would have played in that game last year against Cork, where that ended up in a draw and just missed out in the Munster final. So it's a kind of a new look kind of a team.
Yeah, it is. I suppose, unfortunately, Billy Tierney, who would have been on the team last year, did his cruciate at the start of the year with Clonmel Commercials with his club, but it's great to even have Billy's kind of coming around the setup and being with us from time to time with training as well. But yeah, look, I suppose there's serious work going on in the county over the last couple of years with underage, the academy and all that, and with Shane and Mike with the minor team. So although we only have a few starters from last year, we'd have a good few lads that would have been on the panel, and plus then the minor, we've a good few very talented minor lads that Shane and Mike would have had up with us. So it's a very talented group, although we are young, and we're under no illusions that going down to Quilty tomorrow will be a big step up for some of the boys when it comes to physicality and all that. But look, we'll see how we get on.
Yeah, and like you'd have been involved yourself last year with Niall Fitzgerald, so it's probably a nice transition for you have a good feel for the squad and for the players that are there and the setup as a whole. So it's probably a nice way to kind of carry on from the great work that was done last year. Yeah,
look, I suppose I've been there. This is my 5th year involved with the 20s, so I've learned a lot off the likes of Dave Power and Niall. In particular, the last couple of years, learned an awful lot off Niall. I didn't realise he used to always be saying there's some work involved in being a manager of a county team. There is an awful lot of work that you have to do behind the scenes. But look, got great experience from him, and even he spoke to the players for me last week, and just the way he spoke about that we're a development squad for the senior team, and that's the way you have to look at it. Like the minor team and the under 20s, we want as many players playing for the senior team as possible, and that's at the end of the day, that's our job. Obviously we want to win matches, and the players want to win matches, but if we can, like this year, like it's great to see the amount of lads that would have been on our 20s panel last year playing senior football for Tipp and named on that panel even for the weekend against Wicklow. Like it's just massive to see the younger lads coming through, and that's, once we have that in our heads that we just need to develop the players for the senior team, I think we'll be going a long way.
Yeah, and it's not even blind faith, as you said. Like it's not the senior manager saying, "Oh, some of you could be playing under 20s, John, in a few years' time." It's happening now. Like, John, we can see it with the Tipperary team now.
It was brilliant the other night. Like last week, Niall just coming into the group and just talking about the players that are gone through that were with us last year, and even a couple of years before that. Like, the lads are progressing, and there is talent, and there's serious work being done in football and hurling in the county, which is great.
And now, as you're preparing for phase 1 of the Munster Championship, so how it works in the Munster Under 20 Football Championship is you've phase 1 with Tipp, Waterford, Limerick and Clare. Top 2 go into phase 2 where they join up with Cork and Kerry for another round robin. So there's the potential for a minimum of 6 games if you can get through phase 1, which is also very important. But it's 3 games on the spin is the only thing. It's 3 Saturdays in a row. So that probably takes a bit of management too, in terms of you won't just need 15.
Yeah, like that's even when we were naming the panel last night. Like, I suppose having the experience of the last few years, like I was telling the players, like there's lads that will start tonight that possibly won't start against Waterford, and that's just the way it works, because you could get injuries, you can have lads not in form and lads in training going really well, and you need to be able to manage the panel. And that's why I suppose we have, like, I can safely say we have a very, very talented group, not just the 24 that are named for tomorrow. The rest of the lads, we'd have no problem in throwing them into the 24.
Yeah,
and that's a great thing to be able to say. So like, it's three Saturdays in a row. So we will need everyone that's there to be involved over the next couple of weeks.
And like, I was looking back at this team 3 years ago, minor, got out of phase 1, got into phase 2, and were beaten in a Munster semi-final by Cork. So I'd imagine expectations among the group are high enough to get back into that phase 2.
Yeah, look, it's an old cliche. We're kind of, obviously our target I suppose the way we have been over the last couple of years, and there's no disrespect to anyone, our target is to get out of the group and try and be third in Munster. But we do know like that, as it is a younger group and we're in transition, we know we're up against it. But we do feel that we will be hopefully good enough to get out of the group and progress on to the next stage. But look, we're taking it game by game at the same time. Like tomorrow, above in Quilty is going to be a massive challenge. Like, and they have a number of players that would have caused those problems last year when we played them twice, like in the group stages. So we know, like, we'll have to perform to our best, and if we get a performance, we'll see where the results will take us from there.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Wishing you all the very best luck. 2:00 tomorrow is the throw-in time in Quilty, Tipperary against Clare, and you can hear live updates of that game throughout the afternoon tomorrow on Tipp FM. Paddy, thanks for joining us, and the very best luck to you and all the squad tomorrow.
Thanks a million, Paul. Thank you.
Tipperary Under-20 football manager Paddy O'Gorman, and a reminder we will have live updates of that game tomorrow, 2:00 throw-in time on Saturday. It's a busy weekend of Gaelic games all around the county. Of course, the county hurling leagues getting underway this weekend. The county football leagues were underway last weekend, and club action getting back into full swing. Also tomorrow, Tipperary senior camogie team are in action. They take on Cork in Páirc Uí Rinn at 1:00 throw-in time on Saturday in the National Camogie League Division 1A. Also tomorrow, the O'Connor Cup final is on. That's the higher education ladies football final. It is at TU Dublin against DCU, and that's at 4:00 in DCU. Angela McGuigan, Tipperary ladies footballer, in action there for TU Dublin of the Slieve Lamont Club in South Tipperary. Also on Sunday, the Tipperary minor camogie team, they are in action in the All-Ireland Championship. They take on Limerick at 2:00 in the county camogie grounds. A win there for Ray Ralph's side would secure Tipperary a place in an All-Ireland semi-final, so we wish them all the very best of luck. But let's take a look at the world of soccer now. It's a big weekend in the NTNDL and the TSDL. We'll start with the NTNDL, and it's a really exciting title races brewing there in the NTNDL Premier Division. If we look at the fixtures on Sunday, league leaders Shinrone, they have the weekend off, so they'll have to watch on and wait as the chasing pack of Moneygall and BT Harps are in action, just 4 points behind. Moneygall, they are away to bottom side Ara Rovers, and BT Harps travel away to Rare Cross. Both those games on Sunday at 11 a.m, and also at the same time Ballamackie host Holy Cross. So big games there for BT Harps and Moneygall as we really reach the business end of the NTNDL Premier Division. But in the TSDL, Peake Villa are in action over the weekend. And to talk soccer, I'd like to say I'm joined on the line by the chairman of Peake Villa FC, Seamus Woodlock. Seamus, you're very welcome to the show. Yeah. Yeah, it's great to have you on, Seamus. It's we're really getting towards the business end of the season in local soccer in the TSDL. Peake Villa currently league leaders, 3 games to go. It's all in your own hands. You're away to Clonmel Celtic this Sunday at 3:00, so it's getting to that time of the season where you can almost feel it. But some big games to come.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, Paul. And as a Peake Villa club, and I've been around a long time, we're taking absolutely nothing for granted. Big game on Sunday down to Clonmel Celtic, always a tough place to go. And with 3 games, it is in our hands, but it's still there's no soft game in Tipperary Southern District League, none whatsoever. Yeah,
there's 3 games to go, but these are probably going to be the hardest 3 games when you can see the title there for the taking. But big one Sunday. You're away to Clonmel Celtic at 3:00. You've 2 games after that. I'm nearly sure one of them is against St Michael's. And who have you in the other one?
We've Clonmel Town at home.
Yeah,
Clonmel Town are having a poor season, but again, they'll have a bit of pride about them. They're not going to go down without a fight. Clonmel Celtic is that's all we're thinking about now on Sunday. You know what I mean? Because Clonmel Celtic, they're decent, very decent team. They're in the middle of the table actually this season, but some very good players. They've always had a good team, and we've never had it easy on Clonmel Celtic. So we'll take nothing for granted Sunday.
Yeah, that's Sunday at 3:00, and St Michael's are in action on Saturday. They're at home. It's against Cullen Latin, so it's kind of really heating up in the TSDL Premier League.
Absolutely. Well, Michael's, of course, can come back into it. Like they have to win the remaining games, and that's come to turn us to place. But as I said, we don't want to think too far ahead because we've definitely been in these positions before, and we've failed to take the opportunity. So this year we're 100% next game only.
Yeah, it's the only way to be, and St Michael's will go into that game on Saturday off the back of a good win over Two Marlborough in the FAI Junior Cup, and likewise yourselves had a good win in the FAI Junior Cup last week as well.
We had a tough game below in Belgium, but in fairness to Derek and Davy and Davy Carpenter, they blooded 3 or 4 lads that's been on the squad all season. They all got game time, which is absolutely needed too at this time of year, because you get the other injury and all that. We just can't take all lads have to good to go. There's about 1 to 18. If you have to win a league, you need every one of them.
Yeah, for sure. It really reaches the business end. But Seamus, you have a big day on Sunday, of course, in that match against Clonmel Celtic. But a big day on Tuesday coming up, St Patrick's Day. You have a big fundraiser. You're looking to do up some of the grounds there in Lochtagalla Park. Tell us a bit about the fundraiser and how to get involved and where the funds are going.
Where the funds are going, we finished. Where the funds are going are our weather pitches down 14 to 15 years now, and so like any carpet, it needs changing, and the amount of traffic it's taken in 14, 15 years is just incredible. And it's a fantastic job done originally by a McInerney man from Clare. And I always take my hat off to him, because these pitches don't usually last that long, but with a bit of maintenance every year, it stood the test of time. And even looking at it there last Saturday, we had another fundraiser for a good friend of ours, Paul or the Wire, between ourselves and Paul Assassins, which was another fantastic occasion. But it had looked great for that, but you can see the couple of splits coming and this and that. It just needs to be changed. Simple as that. And this fundraiser hopefully will go a long way towards it, and hard work by the committee and everyone associated. And of course, where will it be without the people that hurt us in the surrounding areas? Incredible people, incredible. Every year, they never found one, and the great support to the Peake Villa Soccer Club.
Yeah, and you've a big membership in the club as well. Huge,
up around 600 people, 600 kids. The girls soccer has just exploded in the last 2-3 seasons. The Katie McCabe's in this world, and now the girls have idols to look up to, and fair play to RT and these people. The games are on every time the girls play. They're on, they're getting the coverage, and well deserved. And I was talking to the under 14 manager the other day. He's 40 girls at the moment.
Wow.
Trying to fit them on the field is his biggest problem. It's incredible.
Yeah, good problem to have.
That's the idea. That's the idea. Though, we just have to persevere and get it done. This summer, please God.
Yeah, and we've seen how much you need an all-weather pitch, particularly in the last 2 or 3 months. It hasn't stopped raining. But the walkathon. Tell us about that. How can people get involved? It's taking place on Tuesday.
Yes, in fairness, we'd like to thank the Gala Association for giving us the use of the park, and the incredible committee as well. And we hope to have a good day Tuesday. But you can go on any of our links and Facebook. More so, Peake Villa Facebook, and any business that want to jump on board before Tuesday or want to donate to any people that's participating, the more welcome, Paul.
Yeah, and I've seen you're doing quite well at the minute. On your website, it's 50,000 is the goal, and you're up around 40,000 at the minute. So I suppose one big push.
Yeah, please God, it'll be. If it doesn't hit the 50 mark, we never had a fundraiser like it. It's been fantastic. It's been the best ever we've ever done. So we usually have a down night during the summer. Usually goes a long way in the season, but this is a massive project that we're taking on. So hopefully we'll hit the 50. If we don't, so be it. Look, we can't. We won't complain.
Yeah, no, it's.
That is our aim, but not saying that is our aim, Paul. To be honest, if we can get to it, it'll be a fantastic achievement by all on the committee and everyone that participated in it. Yeah,
well, Seamus, the very best of luck with it, and looking forward to watching from a distance on how the TSDL Premier League season finishes up. But the very best of luck with the fundraiser on Tuesday, and thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks a million, Paul, for your coverage.
Right, now it's time for our second ad break here on this week's edition of Across the Line, but stick around, plenty more to come after these. And you're very welcome back to the third and final part of Across the Line here on Tipp FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday, the 13th of March 2026. Now, as always, at this time of a Friday evening, it's time to talk dogs with Barry Drake.
Tipp FM's Greyhound News Update with Greyhound Racing Ireland, the ultimate night out for hens and stags. Enjoy racing, dinner and fun-packed packages across the nation.
It's another very busy weekend of greyhound racing action. All eyes, of course, will be on Shelburne Park on Saturday night, where the first round of the Shelburne Park Bookmakers Easter Cup gets underway with €30,000 to the winner. We'll touch on that shortly, but we're going to start with the local action first, and we're going to start with Clonmel Greyhound Stadium, who hold their usual Friday night racing programme, of course, which gets underway at the usual start time of 7:30 there tonight. Some good racing action to look forward to over the course of tonight's racing programme. Race number 7 is one of the feature races on the card, of course. It's an AOA1 contest, and trap number 6 here will have plenty of local support. That's Mr. Miles for the Clonmel 5 syndicate in the care of Ross Miles. It's been running well in good company in recent times and looks to have obvious claims here. The likes of trap number 4, Foxrock Shazzers for Canis Highland in Portlaoise, and also trap number 2, Slaney-side Layla for the Thurles Kennel of Derek Keogh are other ones that should be in the mix. Elsewhere in tonight's racing action, going on to the following race, of course, race number 8 on the programme. Trap number 1, Boozed Spark, finished third on debut, of course, trained locally in County Tipperary by Pádraig Campion. That should improve plenty for that debut experience, and it looks like a good opportunity to get off the mark. Also keep an eye on trap number 6, Pops Sophie, who was another one to show plenty of promise on debut. That one, of course, for the kennel of Veronica Dre in Three Castles. Switching our attentions to Thurles Greyhound Stadium on Saturday night. First due off there at 7 o'clock. And in terms of predicting a winner, keep an eye on Rossa Bella, who lines up in trap number 4 in race number 3, trained in Tipperary by Thomas O'Donovan. This one, of course, was second in a sales trial down in Curraheen Park last weekend, making a quick reappearance, and should be on the premises there. Will be finishing well, and is certainly one to keep an eye on in Thurles. Elsewhere on the card, switching our attentions to race number 8, trap number 1, Montreux Kit is one to watch out for here, of course, for trainer Pádraig O'Loan, owned by James Tracy in Ross Gray. 2 nice performances in its first 2 career outings, and should go well from the inside of the track. Switching our attentions back to Clonmel Greyhound Stadium on Sunday night. First race due off there at 6:04. Slaney-side Bess is a greyhound that's been running consistently well in recent times and should go well in race number 4. Just touched off last time, but was a previous 29-20 winner around course and distance, and that one, of course, representing the Thurles Kennel of Derek Keogh. Elsewhere, moving on to race number 7. Looks a good competitive contest. Pat's favourite is dropping down in class in the wide outside for Morris Organ. If that could reproduce some of its better form, would certainly go very well. And also trap number 1, Slanestown Bailey, has been running consistently well in recent outings for Conor O'Donnell and Feathered and trainer David Flanagan. Ascot Logan has been hitting the crossbar in recent times, but taking a significant drop in class down to A3 company for the first time in quite some time, of course, for Billy Murphy and Francis Mullen. And from the inside of the track, that one is sure to prove very popular in the betting in race number 8. We said at the top of the interview, of course, that the Easter Cup was getting underway. €30,000 to the winner, expecting fireworks in the opening round on Saturday night at Shelburne Park. Droopy's Kathleen was disappointing on her return to racing action, but she should strip fitter, and she will go very close there in race number 5, which is heat number 2, of course, owned by Alan Dobbs, of course, and leading flat jockey Dylan Brown McMonigal. Keep an eye on Droopy's Kathleen there in the second heat. Moving on to the third heat, Callaway Kenny-Gar ran well on its return to racing action last time, trained in the win by Owen McKenna. Powerful performer, of course, will be finishing well and should be in the mix later on, but Lenny's Tank has been impressive in recent outings. Missed a kick last time, but showed a lot of pace in the feet. I think that one, if it could produce one of its best starts, can make all the running there, of course, for trainer Paul Hennessy. Elsewhere, Callaway 5 represents Owen McKenna in heat number 4. Kusan Pickles runs on the outside of the track for Tipperary trainer Michael O'Donovan, and that one gets the nod. If turning handy around the opening couple of corners, will be kicking into top gear from halfway and should take plenty of stopping. Of course, 5 opening round heats in the competition. The fifth heat is another interesting contest. Keep an eye on Lemon Orla in trap number 3. Could be a lively outsider here for Cork trainer Tom O'Neill. Should improve for that recent comeback outing, of course, and clocked a fancy time prior to its comeback. It looks a real pacey sort, and certainly not without a chance there in that race. So very much looking forward to that competition over the course of the next couple of weeks. Of course, local success down in Tralee last weekend for Liam Downing. Of course, he won the Juvenile Classic with Ballymac De Niro. Looks like a superstar in the making. Is a ground I'm sure we'll be talking about much more in the coming weeks and coming months. So looking forward to another busy weekend, of course, but all eyes on Shelburne Park on Saturday night.
And many thanks, as always, to Barry Drake there for giving us a rundown on what's happening in the world of greyhound racing, both here in Tipperary and further afield as well. That's just about all we got time for this week's edition of the show. Many thanks to you listeners for tuning in, and all our guests for making the show possible, and of course to our sponsors here, the Premier Credit Union in Thurles. Reminder, 2 live games on air this weekend, both at 2 o'clock on Sunday. We'll have a simultaneous commentary, as you've heard in the show. Tipperary against Wicklow in the National Football League. Tipperary versus Waterford in the National Hurling League. That game is with thanks to Casey Todds and Wooden Floors and Care, with the football coverage in association with John Kennedy Motors, your main Toyota dealers in Clonmel. It's a busy weekend of sport ahead, both with club, county and whatever grade you have. Big day of rugby as well tomorrow, of course, with Ireland in action in Six Nations. So it's one of those very busy weekends of sport. I hope you do enjoy it. Ronan Quirk will be back on Monday evening, looking back on all the sporting action in Tipperary. 7 o'clock is when that one gets underway on Monday evening. I'll be talking to you from Waterford, Azori Walsh Park on Sunday at 2 o'clock. Until then, have a good Friday, have a good Saturday, and we'll talk to you Sunday. Bye for now.